Hi there, I'm Emmanuel Udoiwod. Welcome to the Python tutorial. Now, we'll be discussing on the Python language today. And Python has been a language that has been used for several production of several software. Python is used in the field of data science, is used in the field of machine learning, and is also used in the field of web development. Now, the beauty of Python is that it's very versatile and can be used in several places. Now there are certain links that we're going to use here, so you take note of them. You also see them in the content section, and these are python.org. We also have visualstudio.com. Now, why Python? Why program? Why program? Programs control computers. They are the ones that make your computer system intelligent. Without a program, your computer system can do nothing. So programs are there to ensure that your computer performs some task. Your applications are built with programs, and this brings ideas to life. For example, you have the Word, Microsoft Word. Now that's a word processor. It was built using a computer program. Computer games are built using computer programs, and the rest. Why Python? There are several other high-level programming languages such as C, C Sharp, C++, JavaScript, Java, and PHP. And these also have their own uses to program languages. But the good thing about Python is that Python is easier to learn. It's more versatile for lots of uses because it could be used for, as I said earlier, data science, machine learning, and web development. Then you can also apply similar syntax from Python to other languages. So first thing we need to do is to download or get Python. So let's confirm if our system has Python. I am using a Windows operating system. So what you have to do is go down to the Windows search bar and type command prompt. Now command prompt comes up, click on it, and all you have to do is to type Python dash version, and this will try to prove you there's Python in the system or not. Now Python is not in my system. So if there's no Python in your system, all you have to do is go to python.org and download Python. Now this is python.org. Once you have downloaded Python, you install Python, and you do that by, here is the version of 3.10 Python. And once you start installation, you install now and click on add Python 3.0 to path. Alright, so I'm going to install now. Now that Python has been installed, let's go on and see our Python once again. Now we go back to command prompt. We type Python dash version. We have it there. Python 3.10.5 has been installed in our system. So now we have Python. Now let's start Python and see how it looks. Let's go on to execute Python. Just come down here to Windows. We have the Python IDE. Python. Here it is. One plus two. Enter. And it gives us 3. So we have another, let's try another one. 3 plus 4. Enter. Gives us 7. Now you can see that Python automatically responds because Python is an interpreter language. It doesn't have to compile the program before it runs. It can run immediately. We click on, we tap on enter. Now let's try. Now that's an integer. We have added two numbers. Let's try to print a string. Let's use command print bracket hello world. Let's print a string called hello world. Right, you see. When I said print hello world, I use print in capital letter. Most Python's keywords are in small letters. So when you type print in small letters, it now gives you hello world. So we say print bracket. You put in bracket, those print is a keyword and is a function within Python. So it now tells you to print the values. So you put in parentheses. If it's a string, you have to put it in a bracket in parentheses. You put hello world parentheses, close it, close the bracket, enter. It gives us hello world. You can do that and print your name. Now if we need to exit, all we need to type is exit. The argument, your program is still running. Do you want to exit? Yes, we want to exit. So here we are. That's how we use Python to write code. You can write as many codes as you want within Python and watch it work. We can also write code with certain editors. One of the editors we can use to write Python code is Notepad. So let's bring out Notepad. So here's Notepad. All I need to do is type a code on Notepad and save the file, and Python will run it. There are other documents you can use to do that. We have you can use Android Studio. You can also use Xcode, but we are going to use let's try it with Notepad. So we can use Notepad and let's try and write a keyword again. Print hello world. Print hello world. And then we are going to save it as we're going to save it. Let's put it in a Python tutorial text. And we're going to say just hello world. Now, the extension is what matters. We need to save it as the language extension. There are several extensions. Python is py. There are other extensions. JavaScript is js, and you have TypeScript as ts. So you have to save it with this extension so that you can go ahead and use it when you are about to run it. So I'm going to save it that as hello world.py. Now I'm going to open the Python application. I'm going to run it in there. Okay, we'll open our Python and run it. Right, so we now want this to run hello world. Just finished. You open the command prompt, and then from Python tutorial, the beautiful thing is that you can just go to where you saved your file, hello world.py, drag it, drop it on the command prompt, and automatically it will see it. Then type enter and it print out hello world. So that's the beauty of Python. Now we are able to run Python on the screen, but the issue with programming on Notepad is that you may not really be able to handle syntax errors. Now look at this. Just have this running. We now say a equals to 10. You don't know whether you're right or wrong, space or whatever. Everything just keeps going as if it's correct. You can write Therefore, in here, I will and there's no error. So now these are things that a code editor can help you to handle. And one of the code editors, as I mentioned earlier, Xcode, Android Studio, those will help us. So, but we are going to use VS Code. That's one of the popular um, IDEs that is available, Visual Studio Code. So all you have to do is go down to code.studio.com. I had mentioned earlier, code.visualstudio.com. Here it is, code.visualstudio.com. Go down here and download Visual Studio for your version of your operating system. If you're using Windows, you're using Mac, they are all available for you. You download them, and here we can now run our code. So once you have done that, all you now need to do is open up your Visual Studio Code. So I have mine opened here already. So here it is. I have my Visual Studio Code opened here. Alright. Now once you have opened your Visual Studio Code, go down to extensions. On your left corner down you see Visual Studio Code. This is the extension. Click on it, and we are going to bring that Python up. So let's see if we have Python here in this. So we have Python. Fortunately, there is no Python here, so we are going to go to the marketplace and download something for Python. To launch VS Code, what you need to do is go down to your start button and type at the search bar VS Code, and here you see VS Code. So click on it and it comes out. Then you launch your VS Code. Now Visual Studio Code opens up, and what we need to do is to add an extension. So an extension that will run your Python. So all you need to do is to open up and then type Python over here while you're online, and it's going to bring up one of the files like Python that we have here. This is Python by Microsoft. This is also very good. So you download it and install it on your system, and that's what you're going to use. Now once you have finished that has finished installing, so all you need to do right now is to set Python as a default interpreter, and you do that by typing Ctrl+Shift+P. That will bring out this extension, and you select Python, select interpreter, and then choose default. If default is Python 3.10.5, choose that as your default interpreter, and that path is what will be used to enable you to use Python as your default interpreter. Alright, so once you have done that, you are good to go. Now the next step is we are going to try and write some codes in Python. You get up here and open up. I'm going to open up a folder that we had dropped hello world in. That folder was on my desktop, so here it is, Python tutorial, and I select that folder. Now within the folder there is a hello world, so double tap on it, and here it is. Right, so now this is a terminal window which will be running a code. This is a terminal window. If your terminal window is not there, all you have to do is to click on terminal and have your terminal window open. You have a new terminal window running there. Alright, so you could run your PowerShell, you could switch it from your PowerShell, or you could make it be on Python. Now, so there it is. Alright, so now let's run a program, our program hello world. All you have to do is just click on display and it will run it for us. It will run the program. Right, so it has run hello world for us. So here it is, hello world. That is it. We choose Python as our default. We also run it. It's going to give us the same thing. Hello world. Here it is. So either of the could use any of them to get things done. So we have to deal with numbers and operators and in Python. Now remember, Python uses small letters for its keywords. So these are things that you have to take note at all times. Small print. And print is a function. You can see it here is a function called print that allows us to print things on screen. Now let's deal with some numbers. You can run it down here at the terminal. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So here's the terminal. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Um, you can also do some deduction, subtractions. 5. Now we're gonna put space minus 2 space 2 space. All right, let's try minus 2. And there we go. It gives us 3. So what you're seeing here is that Python does not complain about white spaces. Whether there's white space or not, it's still going to do the appropriate calculation for you. Now let's try our multiplication. Now you have 4 times. Now to make our programming neat, you use times. But times is represented by the symbol of we by the asterisk. 4 times is represented by asterisk. Enter and the user 16. Now let's go on with division. So we have 10 divided by 5 and gives us 2. Here is a 2. Now another let's try another long calculation, like 2 plus 5 times 2 plus, all right, let's go like 2 plus 2 times 5. Now I'm going to give a white space so that it's clear for you to see. Now 2 plus 2 times 5, if we say 2 plus 2 4 times 5 gives us 20, right? Good. But if we also say 2 times 5 10 plus 2 gives us what? 2 plus 10 plus 2 gives us 12. So what are we going to get? Let's see what Python will give us. Python gives us 12. Now that follows the BODMAS rule of mathematics. Some people call it PEMDAS, some call it BODMAS, where you have the bracket before the order, then division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So multiplication is first done before addition. So that's what happens in Python. All programming languages follow that rule, the mathematical law of PEMDAS or BODMAS. Now let's go to the code editor and do most of our calculation and no more at the terminal, right? So we can clear our terminal by doing CLS clear screen and it wipes it out. So our terminal is cleared. Now, so we print 2 plus 2 and you play. You have 4. Here it is 4. You have 4. You can also print 2 5 divided by 2. Play. You have 2.5. Now if we just want only the integer and we don't want the remainder, then we can do 5 divided, we put 2 forward slash play. So we have just two. Now that gives us our div 5 div 2. So we have the integer and we don't have the decimal part of it. Now, but if we need just the decimal part of it, we use the mode. Now the modulus is represented using the percentage. So 5 percentage 2, we run it, you have 1. That's just the remainder. Alright, so similar to mode. Now Python doesn't recognize numbers with commas. So if we were to present 1 million, let's say 1 comma 1 2 3 1 2 3, and we were to print it, that's supposed to be a million, but it just gave us 100. It printed just 1 0 0 because it doesn't recognize this for numbers. It doesn't recognize it. So if we needed to print 1 million, we have to put the 1 million without the commas, and it's going to print it out for us. Play that, have it different. Here it is, complete 1 million. So that is how Python handles numbers. Now let's go ahead and see how we can handle strings in Python. To handle strings, and this is what we will type: print, and we put the string of letters in a quotation mark. So let me see, I have here WhatsApp. So put string, print values, and run. And here you have WhatsApp. Now you can use both single quotes and you can use double quotes in Python. The reason why we use double quotes here is because if we put a single quote here and we run it, now it's going to be WhatsApp with a single quote. That's WhatsApp with Python. But if we are to use single quote outside, then we use double quote inside. That's how you ensure that you don't make any mistakes. So if what you are writing in string is going to have double quote in a quotation mark inside, then you put single quotes outside. If it's going to have a single quote inside, then you put double quotes outside. So let's look at another how can we represent comments in Python. Comments are actually being used to comment out things in Python. Now let's say we have WhatsApp. All right, now let me take it down. We want to write it. Now let's write a comment. We use the hash sign or the pound sign. Let me say right here, program to print words. Now if I run this, it's not going to show this program. So if I have this, run it, it's just showing WhatsApp. It's not showing what's happening over here. Now if I also don't want this program to run, I'll just just put hash in front of it and it comments it out. So automatically the hash comments out the keyword. So if we run it this time, there's nothing to run. You can see it here, nothing is running. Nothing is running at all. Right here, print, nothing runs. Alright, so we now have that, but if we return it back, remove the hash sign, it runs again and shows us WhatsApp. So that's how you comment out your programs, or you write lines of comments to help another developer or help yourself to remember the reason why you wrote down a set of codes. Because in programming, commenting is one of the basic skills that must be learned by a developer. Now the next the next topic we are going to look at is, let's look at variables. Now what's a variable? A variable is it's used to store data. It's used to store data. Now data can be strings or it can be numbers. Variable is a name that usually used to represent a memory location which can be used to store data. For example, maybe you have a bucket, and then in that bucket you could put water in it. All right. So once the system asks what is in the bucket, you say it's water. You pull out the water and you put sand in it. What's in the bucket is sand. So if anything has to happen within that bucket, you need to remove something from that bucket to add to another container, or remove what's in that bucket and put something new. Now that is a variable. So anything that you can change its content is a variable. So some of the conditions of a variable are that they must contain letters, numbers, or underscore. They should not start with a number. Spaces are not allowed between variable name. They cannot be keywords. You cannot use a standing keyword in Python to be a variable name like break or try. They should be short and descriptive. The best form of the short description that you can have that will suit what you're using it for. An example is, I'm going to use a variable to handle print. Then I'll just call it print. If we're going to use a variable to handle summation of some values, then call it sum. All right. So that is it. Now you remember a variable is also case sensitive. So if you start with a small letter, that means it's different from a variable that has capital letters in it. So you need to be careful when you are writing names for variables. Let's have an example over here. All right, here we are. We're going to look at the value, and then let's write a comment for our program. And first and foremost, we'll put hash. Let me say program to store values in a variable. All right, now we're going to give ourselves, we'll call it bucket. The variable is going to be called bucket equals to Emmanuel. Now that's my name. Remember, it's a string, so it should be within a quotation sign within. All right, so the bucket is now called Emmanuel. So if I say print bucket, now the good thing is about Python, it can show you, or about VS Code, is that you can see whatever you have declared. So it automatically declares print bucket. But remember, I've not put bucket in. Bucket is supposed to be within bracket. It's a string, so don't put in all the necessary. Or else you have this error. Remember, recall you had the error. So the good thing about the errors is that it tells you when you're having syntax errors. That's why you had the red squiggles on that bucket. Now if I were to run this, see, I said print bucket. Now it just printed a bucket for me. But if I now say print, remove the bracket, and then run it again, see, now printed Emmanuel. So it's now printing what is inside the bucket, and Emmanuel is inside the bucket. My name, Emmanuel, is inside the bucket. Now, if I were to replace this Emmanuel with something else, let me say I say bucket equals to it's a 10. Let's give it a value, numeric value 10, equals to 10. Good. Emmanuel equals to 10. Let's run it again. See, it now replaces it, so it's now 10. It's no more my name, it's no more Emmanuel in the bucket, it's now 10 in the bucket. Now Emmanuel was a string, while 10 is an integer, but it gave the output without complaining. And that's the beautiful thing about Python. You do not really need to define the data type before you can use it. You can alter it at will and it will not complain. Unlike other programs like C, C++, you need to actually define what that variable will contain. And if you put something else in it, it's going to tell you that there's an error with that. Now let's see if we can find out a variable type. So if we now say print type, we're looking for the type of value that is in the bucket. All right, and we run it, and here it is. It tells us that class integer. So the type is an integer because it's now 10. If you were to comment out this 10 or delete it, whichever one is programming, and then we run it again, you have it tell is a string. Str is a string. So that's how you now can find out the actual value of things within the bucket. So if we don't want, but if we want bucket to be deleted, all we have to do is just delete the bucket and it will not exist anymore. So let's have this, the del bucket doesn't exist anymore. So if I say print bucket, let's do this, print bucket, and you can see that once I put del bucket, automatically it puts mark a bucket is not defined. Right, that's what it tells you, bucket is not defined. So let's run it. You can see invalid syntax because there's no bucket. But if you pull out the del, bucket is back. So we have bucket again to run with. Now we are going to look at another how we can get values in Python, get inputs from Python. Let's have a look at that. Right, let's remove these values right now. And let's move this. Now we have a bucket. We'll use the command called input. Input. Right, here it is. You can choose this input. Remember, those are the keywords are in small letters, so if you use capital letter, it's going to be in an issue. So put this. What do you want in the variable? So there we are. What do you want in the variable? We want that to be our input, and once you enter that, we will now print it out. So we now have print, and we print red box, and we print bucket again. All right. So let's say we say what do you want in it, and we want it to print it. So let's clear this and have this terminal. It says what do you want in the variable? In the variable, let me say, I say sand. Enter. It's gonna print out sand. Okay. So that's how it is. You use your input and you get something out of it. If I change it to whatever value it is, run it again. Maybe what do I want in? I say water. So it shows me water. So water is what is needed in this. So now that's one of the ways we get inputs from the user to make calculations or to get values to do one or two things in Python. Now let's look at conditional logic, because definitely there are times that conditions has to be followed if something has to be manipulated in the system. You can't just have straightforward stuff. So let's look at that. All right, so let's get rid of this values here. Now there are many values or logical values that are being used within the, just like we have in math and in logic in the real world, we also have used those in Python. So we have the equal sign, which is represented here. Remember, equal to is just assignment. So there we have, so equal to is like assignment, like I showed you in the variable. I told you move stone into the bucket and all that. That's an assignment. But equal means that the two things must be equal to the other. Then you also have the not equal to symbol. That's not all equal to. You have the less than symbol. You have the greater than symbol. You have the less than and equal to symbol, which is represented by this. You have the greater than and equal to symbol, which is represented by this. So these are the available symbols. Now let's use this in our program. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of these empty lines of code. So we say print and 5 equals to 4. Now let's see what happens when we run it. When we clear screen, you can see clearly and run it. Now it tells you false because 5 is not equal to 4. So definitely that's false. Alright. Now if we also say 4, print 4, and now is 5 equals to 4, or we say 5 is not equal to 4. Let's use the is not equal to sign. 5 is not equal to 4, and then we run that, and so we have a true statement here because 5, yes, it's not equal to 4. So those are some of the ways that we use conditional statements. Let's use it in a real life situation. All right, let me say we have a kid called Tom. All right, and Tom is 3 years old. But before Tom can be in school, Tom has to be up to 5 years old. And now you have a condition that wants to check if Tom can go to kindergarten. All right, before Tom can be in kindergarten, he has to be at least 5 years old. So let's have Tom is equal to 3 years. Okay, let's have it as Tom age equals to 3 years. Then we have kindergarten. Let's use class age is equal to 5. All right, so we're going to ask it to print Tom age. Here it is. Tom age is equal to Tom age equal to class age. So print is Tom age equal to class age. Let's check it out. It's false. Tom age is not equal to class age. All right. So if we are now to check a situation where Tom age is used to verify if he can be in a certain class, we can do that by using what we call the if statement, if else. There are other conditional statements also which we could use. So let's use the if. Now get this out. Say if Tom age is less than class age. Now put a column shows the statement. We say if one you click on enter, it just goes on there to show you that the condition is expecting a block. So that's why you see once put in a column, you get a block, right? So it says if Tom age is less than kindergarten, then it should print and I'm gonna print that Tom should be in preschool. So we are. So print Tom is in preschool. So we run that. So he said Tom should be in preschool because he's 3. But if Tom was 6 years old and we run it, it's not going to happen because We gave a condition for it to print if it's less, but we didn't give a condition for it to run if it's more. So let's go now and see if we run a condition, another condition. Let's use this else statement, and we use the else by using elif. So we now write the else, and we have else be under the if. So else is you should print another thing, print Thomas should be in another class. Alright, so that runs the statement. If Tom is in class, print Tom, else print Tom should be in another class. Let's run it and see. So Tom should be in another class. So we have here Tom should be in another class, because other than that, Tom should be in another class. So here it is. If statement, Tom should be in another class. Alright. Now, what if we had more than one condition? An example is maybe if Tom were up to 5 years, he should be in kindergarten. If he was below 5, he should be in preschool. And if he was above 5, he should be in another class or other classes. Alright, so how can we do that? And we used another keyword called else if, but usually in Python it's written as elif. So we're going to go down and write that and see that how that is done. So what happens, we're going to add another condition here. It said if Tom is less than 5, which is the class age, should be in preschool. And we now say elif. Here you have it, elif just comes out. Elif, right? We have elif is in line. We have Tom. Elif Tom age. Okay, we have Tom age is equal to 5, which is exactly class age. So elif Tom. Then we have it's equal to that. So we have hit the print. We're going to print enjoy kindergarten. So Tom to enjoy kindergarten. So he enjoys kindergarten. Else he should be put in a higher class, say in primary school. We added in primary school. Right, so we run that. So we have Tom who is 4. Tom should be in preschool. Tom is 5. We run and it says enjoy kindergarten. Then we have Tom as 10 years. It says Tom should be in primary class. Okay, so these are the ways we can have conditional logic to be performed in Python. So right here we have been able to use our if else command. Right, so let's look at functions, because functions are another way of creating solutions. For example, print here is a function. You can see here is a function, print, then it has values that you are going to put inside the print function. So how can we make print how can we make a function? Functions sometimes are also called subroutines, all right, and sometimes methods. So let's see how we can write functions. Functions are very good for object-oriented programming.
A function, also similar to subroutines or methods, is a block of code that has parameters and helps code to be modular and reusable. If you need multiple, if you need a code to be used multiple times, then the best option is to have it made into a function. You have to create as a function. For example, print is a function. And once you have created a function, it can be used more than once. Let's go ahead and let's write print, and let me have a word like Emmanuel is a good teacher. Okay, now Emmanuel is a good teacher. I'm going to repeat it more than once. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here, paste another one here. Now, if I run this, it's going to run several times. So you have it there. Emmanuel is a good teacher 1, 2, 3 times. Now, if I had made a mistake in my name, maybe my name was Emmanuel without an E, Emmanuel. It means I would have to correct it 3 times. Now imagine if I have to do that. So run it down. See, it's now Emmanuel. So it means if I had to have maybe 10 lines of code or 100 lines or thousands of code, which usually is what developers go through, you have to alter the name several times. So to change, make a mistake, you have to cause a change, you have to go through a lot of work. But if we have a function, then definitely it will be easier. So how do we create a function? We use the keyword def. Now def is a keyword used in Python. So we are going to write def print Emmanuel, and that will be our function. Okay, once you have written the function, then we have to get our function. Now we define here, we define print Emmanuel as a name, and that becomes our function. Alright, so now we have put in column, and our column takes us on the telling us that there's more to write. So we have text equal to let's put our text. Our text will be Emmanuel is a good teacher. Alright, that's our text. Then we want it to print multiple times. Print text. Alright, so we want text to be printed 3 times. So that is it. Then print text 3 times. And then we now get out of that code. So we have gotten out of this line of code here. And then we now say print. We now call the def. So you have your print Emmanuel being called here. Alright. Now let's clear the screen CLS so we can have something to work with. So we have Emmanuel here. If we run this, you see it prints it. Emmanuel is a good teacher 3 times because we have called Emmanuel print Emmanuel, which was a function here. So it prints the term, the text Emmanuel 3 times. And if we need to change the spelling in Emmanuel or any other word here, I'll do it once and it will change everywhere. Okay, so what I could do now, maybe Emmanuel is I could change it to the best teacher and run it again. Now have it Emmanuel is the best teacher. So I don't have to change it multiple times. Even if I have to change this word and I have to put my surname in it, just do it once and then have it run. So that's how it is. Okay, let's clear the screen again. Now that is how you get a function to be written. The next we are going to look at is how to pass values for a function. Now you have seen that I have said print text, print text, print text, and I have to put text is equal to this. Okay, but I could now decide to pass values into it. So what I will do is just to delete this portion which is text, and then add here def print Emmanuel, and then the value is text. That's what we are looking for. All right, so get that from there, and then I have that. Then I say print Emmanuel. So if I say print Emmanuel, and the text has to be added here. So I will add it here. Emmanuel is a good teacher. So instead of putting text here in Emmanuel teacher, I put it here and then I run it, and it does the same thing 3 times. But remember, I have passed the value into the function, so you can always change the value, just like you have print. Remember, you have print and then you put the value. For now I can print Emmanuel is now a function, and you can say Emmanuel. I can change it, say Emmanuel Udoiwod, the best teacher. Okay, and we run this and you see that Emmanuel was the best teacher. Now that's how we pass values in a function. Now let's clear this and also have an example based on our former issue about Tom who is in school. So let's have this. Let's write class. Let's say we wanted to write a program and we wanted a function to handle the issue of Tom. So we have def. Remember, this is going to be a school age calculator. I'll just call it calc. And then we have, and the values we're going to pass are name and age and name. Okay, so we have that, and then we have a conditional statement if age is less than 5. Okay, we should add a number column. Age is less than 5, we print. Enjoy the time, and then we add enjoy the time, and then we're going to add the name of the student, which is going to be passed, right? Okay, and that's going to be passed. And we're going to add another is only enjoy the time. Tom is only five, so that's age. So we have that. So those are the issues we are going to resolve. And we now have that we go to if age is equal to 5, and we print enjoy kindergarten. Enjoy kindergarten, and we have his name. Then we now go to the final else. We print. They grow up too fast. So if they are older than 5, they grow up too fast. If they are less than 5, enjoy the time. And if they are 5 years, enjoy kindergarten. Alright, so we have that. Now let's run a program and see what happens. So age is 5. If we have age 3, we run it, tells us we have here an issue. Now we add the last line, which is we are getting out of the function. We are now going to write, we are going to call the function. The function is called school age calc. Here it is, school age calc. And we go in, and the age is 5, comma Tom. Alright, so let's have a Tom here. Alright, so let's press in and watch what happens. So we play. Now it says enjoy kindergarten Tom. We call because it says if its age is equal to 5, enjoy kindergarten Tom. If the age is 3, which is less than 5, let's play that and see what happens. It says enjoy the time, Tom is only 3. Enjoy the time, Tom is only 3. And if we have else, we have 7. Let's say we have Tom is 7. Then we have they grow up so fast. So that's how we use functions, and we use it to run calculations wherever it's needed. So that's the logic behind function, a conditional statement within a function. So next we are going to look at is how to return a value from a function. How to return a value from a function. So I'm going to clear the screen, and we're going to drive another function. And this function we are going to call it add 10. I'm going to add 10 to age, and then a value we're going to pass is age. Right, so we have that. Remember, always put your colon at the end of anything that you know something will be nested under. Just put your colon in front of it. We have the new age is equal to age plus 10. Then we return, yes, we return new age. New age has been called, so we're going to return new age. So here it is, return new age. Now we are going to get out of this, and we're going to have how old question, how old will I be in 10? How will I be in 10 years? Alright, so you now put your age here, and that is going to be our question. And how old will I be? Put 3. So we have how old will I be? How old will I be is equal to add 10 to age. Okay, then you have age, can be anything. You have 3 here. Right, so how will I be, what will I be is equal to add age 10 to age. So now print how old will I be? How old will I be? That's what we need to print. So alright, so we have how old will I be. So we have here, we have the function add 10 to age, which means the new age is equal to age plus 10. Then you return the new age. So we want to return the value from the function. So how old will I be is equal to add 10 to age 3. So print old age, how old will I be? Print how old will I be? So we run the function and it says 13. So how old will I be? Add 10 to age, you'll be 13. Alright, you'll be 13. So that's how. Now if we need to add 5 years and run for 5, we're gonna have 15 years. How old will I be? We'll be 15.
Here we are going to talk about while. We're going to talk about loops. We have while and we have for loops. Those are the two we will look at. There are other types of loops, but basically we're looking at while and for loops. Now loops are used to repeat a block of code. For example, every morning you wake up in the morning and then usually you brush your teeth in the morning. Maybe you have your breakfast. Now that's what you do every day. It's a repetitive task that you do every morning. Wake up, brush your teeth, and maybe have your breakfast. Now you can write a code that handles such. So instead of you to every day worry yourself about anytime you want to you do a task or a certain function, you want it to happen more than once to repeat within the code, then you go ahead and use these loops. So let's look at while loops. Okay, now let's look at while. I'm going to clear this and also clear this so that we can have CLS and clear. um, I want to clear every code around here so that I can have right. Now we have let's have a hashtag. Remember the hash was meant to give us comments. So we're looking at while loop. Now we have this x. Let's initialize x is equal to 0. While, right? While, and while you can see is a keyword. While x in bracket, ensure that every time you have this, you can just do this while you're typing, while it comes up, you have the while in bracket. X is less than 5. While x is less than 5. I'm going to put white spaces to clarity of the code. Then remember, while you want something to happen, so you put your column after that, your column. Yeah. So print x. Print x. Remember, x is equal to 0. That's what we're starting from. So while x is less than 5, print it. Starts from 0. Y is less than 5. Print x. Then you now increment it by saying x is equal to x plus 1. Right? So I can explain this by putting hash around here. Let's see. And put hash before this so that you can have a comment. Put hash here, increment. Alright, so we have that. Now we're going to run it and let's see what happens. So click on that. The terminal is supposed to run it, but we have not. Right, so there we are. So we have initialized it. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So while x is equal to, so we say while x is less than 5, we should print x. So it's going to print x1 to 4.
Now, if we want it to include 5, all I have to do is while x is less than or equal to 5, print that. Let's run that and see what happens over here. Let's clear this screen so you can really see what's happening. I'm going to raise this up, clear screen, then let's run the new value. You can see it has 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that's what happens. So while x, we initialize x to 0, so while it is less than 5, print. Then we increment until it is 5. So if we don't put a limit here, it's going to keep incrementing until eternity. We just put maybe print x equal to x plus 1. You keep on printing and printing and printing without actually solving. So we need the while loop to give it to repeat it 5 times. Okay, if we say y is less than 5, we're actually telling it repeat it 4 times. So we go ahead and do that. You see that it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It keeps on incrementing it. Now let's look at the for loop. So we have for this while and for loop. So for loop says for x in range, right? For in range for x in range 5 to 10, right? So we have where it starts. Within the range you have start, which is 5, you have stop, which is 10. So range is 5 to 10. Okay, we now say print x. There we are. For that x has to be, basically has to be in the middle. So I'm going to clear screen here so we can really have a clear view of what will happen. So we set for x in range between 5 to 10, print x. Now we run that. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so within the range of 5, x in range 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, print 5 to 9. Looks what is in range. What's in range is 5 to 9. Right, so that's how we do the for loop and the for loop, and you have seen previously the while loop. Now let's look at another example for an array. Now we are going to have these days of the week. We're going to have an array. We're going to do a loop through the array. So these are days of the week, right? So we're going to have a range called days, which is equal to within it to days. We're going to have Monday, Tuesday, now we have the array Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now what we will do is we are going to use another keyword called break to skip over contents within an array. Now let's do this. Let's use the loop if, just same loop for d in days, and this is the for d in days. We want it if d is equal to Thursday, sorry, let's fix up this. if D is equal to Thursday, then we break. Now break is a keyword that is being used to stop a loop from proceeding. So once you put break, you stop the loop. So if D is equal to Thursday, then stop. So we now go with that. Then we say print D. So we have print D. We run it now. See, it gives us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Once it saw Thursday, automatically it stopped the loop. So that's how the loop can be stopped using the keyword break. Now, if we want to skip over items and still continue, there's another keyword called continue. So we could just change this to continue and just skip over and continue. So we have a continue, and if we run it, this is what happens. It just goes on to give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, skips Thursday, and does Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's what break or continue does to help you stop loop or to skip over items within a loop. Now, there are other things also that are within the Python that helps us to solve those problems. In fact, many programming languages also have these. They're called built-in libraries, and these libraries help to quickly solve some problems without necessarily having to write the entire code all by yourself from the beginning. You just import the libraries and you get it done. So let's clear the screen and then let's look at some of the libraries that we have. Clear this and then let's go here. Now to get, I'm going to call these libraries. All right. Now one of the libraries is the math library. So we're going to import the math library, and we do that by typing import and then math. So here's the math library, right? So the math library is being imported, and that will now do lots of work for us. So here we are, print. Let's have pi. We have string pi is then comma math dot pi. So we have that, and if we run that, you'll see it has pi is 3.1415. So that is it. So that's how we get to import libraries, and that's just one of the libraries. There are many other libraries available.
So we'll be looking at how to debug Python codes. And that's another important issue that you have to be very careful about, because after building your codes or writing your codes, there's bound to be some errors. You need to debug and remove these errors, or while running them, you need to debug them. Sometimes you find these bugs while you're testing it. Sometimes you find them while you are trying to write some code and they're not working very well, not when you have integrated all of them together. So while there are several types of bugs, we have syntax errors, and this is because of you not using the right syntax, the right keywords to do what you are supposed to write. For example, instead of writing print in small letter, we wrote in capital letter, and that's a syntax error, because at the end of the day, it's going to give you an error because you did not use the keyword appropriately. We have the runtime errors also. Now, in the runtime errors, this occurs while you're running your code, and then at the end of the day, you find out that it's not giving you the appropriate value that you need, or it could be a calculation error. For example, an example is divide something by zero. Divide anything by zero is an error. You can't divide something by zero. So you have a zero division error over there. Yet another type of error that is usually found in coding is semantic error. Semantic error. Now, this is a bit hard to find because your code may look okay, but the problem will be coming from the way you arranged it. So it could run perfectly, but your response, your output is not what you expected. For example, in BODMAS. Now, if you write a code, at the end of the day, you write 2 plus 2 times 5. Meanwhile, what you expected was for it to be 2 plus 2 first, which is 4, times 5, which is 20. And you not put the 2 plus 2 in parentheses, then automatically you're going to have an issue. And that is what we call semantic error. So you try to avoid most of these errors. There are other errors along the way, which as we get more advanced, you find out. Please, if you have enjoyed this course, introductory tutorial on Python, please subscribe to this channel. And I'd like you to like the channel so that others can also gain from it. And also, if you have a comment on what you want us to do, something else relating to that Python or any other programming language, you can go ahead and comment and we'll get back to you. And I always read my comments and I react to it regularly. I would also like you, there's a course on this, complete course on this Python. Please go ahead and register with goldenberg.com.ng for a full course on Python and other programming language. You also have on web development, front end and back end, and you gain some knowledge. You have direct contact with your coaches. All right. So I would like to say, please like this video, subscribe to it, and comment to it, and you get more like this.